everyone, it's really great to see you guys again. Here today I'm going to share a book that I've read recently with you. It's called My Brilliant Friend and it's written by an Italian author, Elena Ferrante. I was only introduced to this book recently, though it was published in 2012, until one of my best friends, she's telling me that she's working on her dissertation and it's centered on this topic. Very proud of her, but luckily in the end I have this chance to read the book. So here today I'm going to share some thoughts about the book with you guys. So this is a book, My Brilliant Friend, and it's a story about the friendship of Elena, who's the narrator of the book, and Lena, who is her best friend. And the story kind of tracks the divergence of Elena and Lena since their childhood. They're both brilliant and very hardworking, yet Elena advances into middle school, but on the other hand, Lena dropped out because of her violent family. So the story is a quasi-memoir told by Elena, so a lot of times I'm really amazed by how she has the ability to sort out the events that have shaped her life. And also I'm amazed by her ability to give detailed descriptions to these events. In fact, many literary reviews have already prized the clarity of Ferrante's prose writing style and the precision of her description of complex emotions. So when you read, I'm sure you will feel the writer's ability to give voice to the unsayable things in the book. I think the accurate, brave, profound, and sometimes poetic narration that reveals the characters' inner drives and desires is the biggest reason why I love this book. Elena did a great work capturing the strong melancholy in the daily life in Naples. When she suddenly realized what the word pleb meant in a wedding banquet, for example, she recorded by word, saying that she saw the sauce splatter on the floor and she heard the increasing vulgar toast made by loud people and the noise of discontent for wasn't served first or well. I really enjoy this kind of writing style in which you don't find the plot or feelings are too dramatic. Instead, you find them consistent but very strong and moving. And I feel as a result, her minute and frank words disarm the judgment a reader might make about her hasty decision when saying yes to a war, or her tiredness of being pleb, or her competitive mind and jealous thoughts when Lila did something she has not done yet. So you might feel you embrace her story without judging her, instead with a lot of understandings because you might feel connect with these honest words. The second part I'd like to address here is the way Ferrante frames her novel as a window onto the history. We have read many novels and most every one of them cannot be detached from the historical context. I feel like the history in our history textbooks are archived, telling us facts about what happened in that year. The history in the novel, however, is constructed along with the characters, with the plots and the words. Like, how do people situate themselves in a ground history that does not sound very urgent to their daily life? And how do people make their living in Naples when the industrialization was taking place in the whole Italy? Elena's life journey of living in such a neighborhood, her traces of growing up, her transformation, altogether are unfolding in a heterogeneous history of Italy that is not static but moving and constructing. Also, as mentioned earlier, the story is narrated in memories, which means it's a narration that involves the past as well as the present. So what we read is not only what happened in Elena's childhood, but also the actualization of the memory when Elena looks back. In other words, it is a childhood story but told at the present when Elena is middle-aged and has experienced a lot. So I assume she's examining the past time in a clearer and more profound way. So we get a lot of these insights, perhaps finding them connect to our own story, pulling us to the self-realization about who we were and how some experiences built us up and what some people mean to us when we were young. I think it's very interesting and meaningful to see how a person views some certain events of his or her life when intersecting with different time and space, and finally realizes how these events have shaped him or her. I think this feeling of self-realization might resonate to you a lot along your reading experience. I strongly recommend you to read the book before watching the HBO TV series, which is also a very great adaptation, because I think the words will give you such a strong shock in heart, and it's the one that absolutely deserves your time and emotions. Plus the book is actually divided into short chapters. In general, each chapter only costs you 3 to 5 minutes to read, so it's very convenient to pick up. So here right now I'm going to read some parts that I personally really appreciate. If you don't want to be spoiled, you can turn off the video right now. So the first part I'm going to read is that how Elena describes Lena in a way that she finds Lena is very otherworldly, how she finds Lena is unique, that is so different from any other people in the world, in the neighborhood at least. When some boys in the neighborhood throw the rocks at the girls, Elena says, "When the rocks came at us, we ran away, except Lena, who kept walking at a regular pace and sometimes even stopped. She was very good at studying the trajectory of the stones and dodging them with an easy move that today I would call elegant." So just imagine, I really like this scene. That just imagine how Lena didn't care about how people are going to hurt her, because somehow she knows that they cannot hurt her. So even though there were stones throwing at her, she didn't care, she didn't fear. I think that impresses Elena a lot. And another example, Elena finds Lena is very brilliant at class. She's very clever, she did everything so quick. So Elena kind of at that time regards Lena as a competitor in terms of like the grade, the class, to gain the attention from the teacher. In this chapter, page 48, she says, Elena writes, even by first grade, Lena was beyond any possible competition. Her quickness of mind was like a hiss, a dart, a little bite, and there was nothing in her appearance that acted as a corrective. She was disshaved, dirty, on her knees and elbows. She always had scabs from cuts and scars that never had time to heal. Her large, bright eyes could become cracks behind which, before very brilliant response, there was a gaze that appeared not very childlike and perhaps not even human. Every one of her movements said that to harm her would be pointless, because whatever happened, she would find a way of doing worse to you. And since they grew up, they came to their teenagehood, that's when they started to talk about boys. And this part is so interesting because I think the author really did a great work capturing the detailed feelings, detailed emotions. For example, when Elena told her friends Lena and Carmela about the story of the confession made by the pharmacist's son Gino at school to her, she was telling them that she said no to Gino, and they were asking her, "Why would you say no to this boy?" And she answered, quote, "Because I'm not sure of my feelings." It was a phrase I had learned from reading Sogno, and Lena seemed struck by it, as if it were one of those contexts. In elementary school, we began to speak the language of comics and books, which reduced Carmela to pure and simple listeners. Those moments lighted my heart and my head. She and I and all those well-crafted words. In middle school, nothing like that ever happened. Not with classmates or with teachers. It was wonderful. Step by step, Lena convinced me that one achieves security in love only by subjecting the oor to hard tests. And so, returning suddenly to dialect, she advised me to become Gino's girlfriend, but on the condition that all summer he agreed to buy ice cream for me, her, and Camilla. If it doesn't agree, it means it's not true love. I did as she told me, and Gino vanished. It wasn't true love then, and so I didn't suffer from it. End quote. So here's the last part I would like to share with you, though I have a lot to share, but I guess I have to stop somewhere after all. It's like when Elena actually finished her middle school diploma, she got like the first of the class, so she's really brilliant and excellent. After she graduated, no one really spoke of getting her to high school to get further education or even university. Like, it's not a word that she ever heard of. And quote, my mother wanted to ask the stationer to take me as an assistant. In her view, clever as I was suited to selling pens, pencils, notebooks, and schoolbooks. My father imagined future dealings with his acquaintances at the city hall that would settle me in a prestigious post. It's just kind of like the mentality to restrain us from dreaming big, because some people feel that's big enough. But you see, like for now, her parents are looking for jobs for her in the city, and later, for example, another example, she found out one of her neighbor published a book, but for her at that time, publishing a book means being rich, becoming rich. Like, her reaction at that time was immediately that Nino, who's like the son of this the writer of the book, says that Nino will have better car than the Solaras. And I think it's also interesting that the book kind of tracks the transformation of Elena's mind of dreaming big. So that's pretty much what I would like to share about this book, and I hope you